everyone, and welcome to another episode of the One Chinny Family Podcast. I'm your host, Harder. Let's get started right away, starting things off with Gold and Silver, as today actually marks 21 years since these games were released in North America. And this generation as a whole has been widely regarded as one of the best generations in main series Pokemon. And Gold is one of my first ever Pokemon games when I was a kid. So I definitely have a lot of nostalgia for it personally. And I very much do prefer Gen 2 over Gen 1 because it felt much more refined and more polished overall. Like, it's a very, very solid game. And Crystal did add a few things to Generation 2, but it was not as big of an upgrade. But even despite that, I still feel like Heart Gold and Soul Silver are just better games in general. But I will say, the level curve is really, really steep, something that the remakes didn't really fix, unfortunately, which kind of sucks. And also, it's cool that Kanto is in this game, but outside of challenging the gyms and revisiting the whole land, there was basically nothing to do in Kanto and Gold and Silver. It's a shame, because they made such a big deal about, two regions being in one game, and yet you do a bunch of stuff in one region, but nothing in the other, which it sucks. Not the game itself, because Gold and Silver I still think are great games, and I feel like I could still kind of easily recommend playing them even to this day. But I will say, if you are going to be playing Gold and Silver, definitely do it on the 3DS Virtual Console. Not only it's just a more modern way to play those games, but also you don't have to worry about the dead battery in the cartridges, which was a very common problem with physical copies of Gold and Silver. And I can attest to this because I have physical copies of Gold and Silver, and both of those copies have dead batteries. I need to replace them. I still got to get around to doing that at some point. But and also, finally, the Virtual Console version also lets you transfer up to 3DS, to the 3DS games via Pokemon Bank, as long as you have them in the first box, of course. And just like the Virtual Console versions of Generation 1, the Virtual Console versions of Generation 2 also have the Pokemon come with their hidden abilities if applicable, which is such an interesting thing. For some Pokemon, it works out wonderfully, but others, not so much. But hey, it's one of the easiest ways to get something like a shiny Sheer Force for Alligator. It's Sheer Force for Alligator's hidden ability, so I don't look like a fool. And also, these games introduced 100 new Pokemon. Yeah, it is in Sheer Force for Alligator's hidden ability. Cool. But these games introduced 100 new Pokemon, bringing the total at the time to 251. But a lot of them are just okay, which is a huge, huge shame. Like, there are some Pokemon in that lineup they're just phenomenal, like Espeon, Umbreon, and I'm sure Callum would absolutely be gushing about Espeon if he were here right now. But there are definitely some Pokemon in the debut in Gold and Silver that I feel like could definitely use a bit of love in upcoming Pokemon games, like Pokemon Mantis Arceus. I would personally like to see some kind of special treatment for Giraffe. We're getting something for Stantler in the form of Weird Deer in Legends, but Giraffe, I feel like it's another great Pokemon that I feel like gets overlooked a lot. It's not that usable in battle, but I just love this design. Regardless, Gold and Silver, they're great games. I can still kind of recommend them, but if you can find a copy of Heart Gold or Soul Silver for not that much money, and it's an authentic copy, then I'd say go for it. Because I still think the Johto games in general are kind of worth your time, but it's just that level curve is the biggest reason why I just cannot just full-on praise about them. With that said, let's move on from all this nostalgia. And let's talk about Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl, because some new information from various outlets came out on Tuesday. The big takeaways were autosave from Sword and Shield is back, with the ability to turn it off, just like Sword and Shield. I personally like this. Having an autosave has become standard in pretty much every game nowadays, so it's about time Pokemon finally got to the times with that, starting with Sword and Shield. The EXP share and PC are also identical to Sword and Shield. So you can access the PC anywhere in Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl, which I very much like. But the experience share has seen some mixed reactions. And the last thing is single-use TMs are back. Oh boy, I say what you will about the EXP share, but I think we can all agree that it is disappointing that single-use TMs are back. Even Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and Let's Go also had infinite TMs, which just seems a little weird to me. But it sucks, but it's not a deal breaker. Like, a lot of people are blown out of proportion. Like, people, I've seen one too many people bitching about the experience share and single-use TMs. Like, yeah, the single-use TMs are disappointing to see come back, but does it ruin the game as a whole? Not really. And if we can farm them, then it almost balances it out. Almost. I personally like having the party-wide experience share. Like, that's been a thing since the X and Y. But the main difference was you could just turn it on and off at any time. But like, even if I had that option, I would have left it on anyway, personally. Because it just takes away any grinding that I would have had to do, especially in like Diamond and Pearl, because Diamond and Pearl had a bit of a steep level curve, especially at the end. It's not Johto steep, or even Kanto steep, at least in Gen 1 and Fight Under Leaf Green, but still, there was quite a level spike at the end of Diamond and Pearl, and that, if BDSP has its experience share be as balanced as it was in Sword and Shield, then again, it kind of evens the playing field. So it would be nice to have the option to start it off, but I feel like people are just making a bigger deal than it really is. Well, regardless, a lot of other RPGs have this kind of experience system, and those you also cannot turn off. So again, this is another point of Pokemon just getting with the times. And I feel like something like this was just overdue, starting with Sword and Shield. But yeah, I'm not bothered that I can't turn it off. I'm not even thinking about it when I'm actually playing the game. Some people might be wondering, oh, but what about EV training? Listen, if you remember, it was said in I believe in the August Pokemon Presents, that Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl are not going to have ranged battles. If you really care about ranged battles, you still gotta play Sword and Shield. Now, of course, there is the argument that, you can, if a certain Pokemon is found can be put in Sword and Shield, but isn't found in the wild, but can be found in Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl, then it might be better to just go get it in Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl, and maybe just train it there and just put it in Sword and Shield. But is it really that much of a hassle to put their Pokemon in your PC, especially since you could especially you could access it from anywhere? Like, these games are obviously not going to be perfect, and I feel like people were having their expectations set too high in certain situations. Like, I didn't even care that you can't turn the experience share off, because like I said, me personally, I keep it on all the time. Like, the EV training thing, that can be a fair argument, but again, just swap it out for another Pokemon if you're really that worried. And I know I'm going to get some comments saying that, oh, I'm a bootlicker or some shit like that. I have my opinion, you have your opinion, and really, at the end of the day, is it really that bad? It really isn't. It doesn't, like, break the game or anything, or it's not like, oh my god, this thing is just so freaking bad, I cannot stand it. Like, if you're really that bothered about the experience share and single-use TMs, and feel that it's a deal breaker, and you're just going to be complaining about that from now until the end of time, along with the games itself, then don't fucking buy the game. No one's holding you down to play this game. It's your money. You should be able to decide what you could do with that money when it comes to buying video games. Like, it's really not that hard. Like I snapped about this shit on Twitter because, in all honesty, I could not stand the negativity in regards to Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl that day. Like, it was everywhere. Like, I could, like, constructive criticism is one thing. And I do have my critiques as well. That said, the single-use TMs, at the end of the day, to me, it's kind of a minor setback. It would be nice if that wasn't the case, but no amount of bitching and whining is going to really make a difference. This decision is pretty much set in stone. We're almost a month away from Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl. That's just, I don't think that's enough time to change course on the TMs. If anything, if we're going back to a single category for TMs instead of the split stuff for TMs and TRs in Sword and Shield, which I never really understood. Like, yes, some of the more powerful moves were TRs, but that just made things a lot more complicated when trying to remember what's a TM and what's a TR and that sort of thing. Like, it just created a bit of a mess in that regard. Like, I feel like Sun and Moon still did the TM situation the best, because there were a lot of them in the game, and a lot of the old HMs were converted into TMs because Sun and Moon got rid of the HMs. But like, the HMs, they're still going to be in Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl. If you want to teach it to your Pokemon, you absolutely could. But that quality of life improvement easily helps the pacing of Brilliant Diamond Shiny Pearl, in my opinion. So I don't think it's really worth getting up in arms about like the experience share, and like, we can express concern about single-use TMs, but with so little time left, we're just got to accept the fact that this is going to be in the game, and there's just not much that we could do about it, unfortunately. It sucks, but we're just gonna have to make best with what we're getting. So, like I said, I don't think it's worth getting all upset about it. Like, if you're that worried about single-use TMs, then you really have to reset your expectations, because judging the Pokemon game based on that one little thing alone is not right. Like, judge a game for what it is as a whole, and then we'll talk. I'm just probably spitting nonsense, but whatever. And speaking of Sword and Shield, the distribution for Zacian, Shiny Zacian, and Shiny Zamazenta has been announced for the US, and it's going to be starting October 22nd at GameStop. Thank God it's just a code distribution at GameStop, because my word, Japan and South Korea kind of got screwed. But I think other regions just got announced to get these shinies as well. Let's see here. Yeah, on Cerebi says more international distributions have been confirmed. In Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, you can get codes from various stores across the country from October 22nd through November 18th. I don't remember if that's the same length for the US distribution, but I probably should have looked at that, but whatever. And if you're playing Pokemon Sword, you'll get Shiny Zamazenta. But if you're playing Sword, if you're playing Shield, then you're getting Shiny Zacian. So it's finally that these Pokemon are getting released in their shiny form after almost 2 freaking years since Sword and Shield came out, which is absolutely insane. But hey, it's good that we're finally getting them, even if it's probably just going to be another set of shiny legendaries that most people are just going to be putting in their box and never thinking about again, which is a bit of a shame. But hey, we take what we get. Alright, and also speaking of GameStop, seems like GameStop was getting a lot of shipments of the Switch OLED earlier today, but I missed out on them, which sucks. Most of them were bundles, but I didn't care about the bundles, because either it included the console, a carrying case, and a game that I either already have or something I'm not really interested in. But yeah, it was only GameStop that was getting the shipments from what I saw today, which is a little weird. So it looks like getting the Switch OLED is gonna be a little difficult, which is kind of ironic, because a lot of people were saying, they're not going to buy the Switch OLED, and yet here we are, Switch OLED difficult to find in retailers, and just getting scalped like crazy, which absolutely sucks. But moving on from that, Nintendo has revealed pricing and the release date for the expansion pack to Nintendo Switch Online, and so this is going to be available starting October 25th, and the price has a lot of people, it's been turning heads, and for the most part, I've seen nothing but negative reception to the price, as with the current Nintendo Switch Online year-long membership, the 12-month plan, that only costs $20 a year, which I'd say is fine for what it offers. But with this expansion pack, which includes Nintendo 64, Sega Genesis, and the new Animal Crossing DLC, which just got announced today, as of when recording this, that will run you an eye-watering $50 a year. And, a lot of people are not happy about this sudden price hike. And also, you can also purchase the N64 controller and the Sega Genesis controller today as well. Both of which also go for $50. I did manage to get a hold of an N64 controller, so because I'm a moron and I am also just a little nostalgic for the N64. So I'm personally looking forward to getting the controller, but I can understand why some people are up in arms about the new price for the NSL Plus expansion pack. And yes, it's very steep, a little too steep, but just because it may not, so as a result, it's not that good of a value right now, but down the line, when more content gets added to this expansion pack, suddenly it might become a good value down the road. But don't buy a product for what it can do in tomorrow, buy a product for what it can do today. That's something I learned in a tech video like a couple months ago. I think I can't remember who made the video, but regardless, that's just something that I thought about when I was actually when I was thinking about this. And you know what? It's definitely expensive. This new expansion pack, it's too expensive. I think we can all agree about that. And apparently you can upgrade, but it's not a free upgrade for existing Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. You can get it for a discount, but it'll all depend on how many days left you have on your current plan. I have no idea when my plan is expiring because my mom bought me several 12-month cards for my plan, and so that just extended my plan to like 2022 or 2023. So I'm probably going to be getting a pretty steep discount as a result, but we'll see how much of a discount I'll actually get, because I am going to upgrade to this plan mainly for N64 because I feel like that is going to offer enough value for me, but by no means am I saying that this is a good value, because in all honesty, it isn't, especially since the servers aren't getting any big improvements, at least right now. And so as a result, it's $20 is like the highest that Nintendo could charge with the current quality of the service, but at $50, that's kind of a ripoff. It's borderline a ripoff, and so I don't agree with this pricing. I don't think anyone is agreeing with this pricing, but like N64, like I know some people are gonna make the argument, you can emulate this shit. I'm personally am not the kind of guy that uses emulators to replay my old games. I don't even have an N64, so I can't even legally emulate N64 games. So it's a tough situation. Like I could always just download these games on the Wii U because the eShop on there is still up and running, but apparently the emulation of N64 games on the Wii U is pretty crap, especially like it's really dark, and so as a result, it's not really an ideal way to play those games. I did miss out on N64 games on the Wii Virtual Console back in the day, but I don't remember how well those games ran on the Wii. But I imagine it was probably better than on the Wii U for whatever reason. But the emulation on for N64 games on Switch Online as well as Genesis, they're probably going to be like spot on, just like how spot on the NES and SNES emulation is. But is it worth spending 30 extra bucks for just getting N64 and Genesis games on the go? Like, I do wish they brought back the Virtual Console model, especially for those who either choose to not upgrade or don't have the money to upgrade to the expansion pack. Like, what's weird is that even if you don't play it, Animal Crossing New Horizons, you still get access to the DLC if you upgrade to the expansion pack. I have the game, but I haven't touched it, like, I don't think at all this year, because I kind of fallen out of it. I got bored of it because there just wasn't much to do, and everything was just so slow paced. I'm there. Then again, I'm pretty awful at Animal Crossing, but you kind of get what I mean. There wasn't a lot to keep me engaged for extended periods. It was fine. It was fun at first, but it kind of dragged on. There wasn't much that I can do for like multiple hours a day. Like, it's a game that you can't really, I don't know. It's tough, but apparently the stuff that was shown off in the Animal Crossing Direct was really good. I didn't watch it because, my interest in Animal Crossing kind of fell under after, me losing interest in New Horizons. But who knows? Maybe this will get me back to the game, but we will wait and see. Gonna have to wait until the end of October for that to happen, which luckily is not too far away. Jesus Christ, we're coming up on Halloween very, very quickly. Like, by the time this episode goes up, Halloween will be just 2 weeks away. That's freaking nuts. Actually insane. Where the hell has this month gone? But then again, that also means that Brain Damage and Pearl are inching even closer, so that kind of balances out. But whatever. It is what it is. But like I said, NSO expansion pack, too expensive, but I'm still looking forward to playing N64 games, because that was like some of my earliest gaming memories. So I'm very much looking forward to deploying it, and I am also pretty curious as to how the N64 controller for Switch Online is going to be like. Apparently that thing has also got Rumble as well, so no need for the Rumble pack, so that is pretty awesome. But if anything, I'm probably still going to use my Switch Pro controller for a lot of these games, but it's still awesome that a lot of these N64 games are going to be re-released for the first time on especially even on Switch. Like, I don't know. I'm just rambling with nonsense. So let's move on to the last topic that I have today. Hopefully Calvin will be joining us for this one, but we haven't done much discussing about the Pokemon anime outside of the latest episodes. So I feel like now will be finally the time to actually do some kind of different kind of discussion for the anime, because we talk about the characters themselves a lot of the time, and that's some crazy possibilities, like what legendary or mythical we would give each character in an earlier episode. But we never really took much time to do a little bit of appreciation for the Pokemon that each character currently has, or at least has had since the last time we've seen them. And so I feel like we should take the time to take a look at each main character of the Pokemon anime, and just talk about what our favorite Pokemon is from each character. And so there are a lot of characters here, and not all of them have a full team of 6, but not all of them even have more than one Pokemon, like Lily or Chloe, for example. So the one Pokemon that we can really talk about is the only one that they actually have. So that creates a little bit of a tough situation, but luckily the characters that may only have one Pokemon are great Pokemon regardless. So me personally, starting things off with Ash, I gotta say Infernape. Like Charizard is a very, very close second, but Infernape was such an important part to Ash's development and his rivalry with Paul in Diamond and Pearl. And it was just handled so well. And the development that both characters shared, that both Ash and Infernape shared throughout the course of the show, it was awesome to witness. Like, seeing Infernape finally take control of its blaze after just going absolute bonkers when it activates while it was still a teeny little Chimchar, to fully controlling it as an Infernape. It was just so cool to see all that development pay off throughout the course of the show, and I do feel like the Infernape is such an iconic Pokemon to Ash, and it's just a further proof why Infernape is just one of the best Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl in general. Like, it's awesome. Alright, moving on to Misty. Misty has quite a few picks to discuss here. Not obviously as much as Ash, obviously, because Ash has been the main character of the anime since the very beginning, so he's got quite a few Pokemon over the last 20 years. But if I had to choose one, I think I gotta go with Psyduck. It is such a really funny Pokemon through and through. Like, Starmie is another really iconic one for Misty as well. But I think I gotta go with Psyduck just because of its hilarious humor. It's just a really funny Pokemon to watch every time it gets screen time. And it's always really, really funny, and I love it. Alright, moving on from that, we have Brock. The clear answer for this, for me, is Croagunk, and I'm sure Callum would have said the same thing. What's there to not say about Croagunk? It's an iconic Pokemon for Brock. It was seeing the moments between Brock and Croagunk were just both really funny and really badass at the same time. What else is there to say about Croagunk that hasn't been said already? Like, I'm sure Callum would have a lot to say, but me personally, it's an iconic Pokemon for Brock, and it's one of the main reasons why I love Croagunk in general. And also, I blame Callum for influencing our love for Croagunk here on the podcast. Oh, jeez. Alright, moving on from that, we got May. Let me just refresh myself for what Pokemon May has caught throughout the course of Advanced Generation. So, of course, we got Blaziken, Beautifly Skitty, Venusaur, Munchlax, Wartortle, and Glaceon. Oh my god. This is a good lineup. Oh my goodness. Man, I don't know, man. You know, part of my bias wants to say Glaceon, but May is the one character I've seen the least of because I have not watched all of Advanced Generation. But if I had to choose one from what I've seen so far, I'd have to say Blaziken. It's a pretty iconic Pokemon to May. That's all I can really say. That rhymed. Alright, next up, we have a character that basically needs no introduction, Dawn. Oh my goodness, so many good picks for Dawn. But I think I gotta go with Piplup. Much like how iconic Blaziken is to May, Piplup is really iconic to Dawn. It's my personal favorite starter Pokemon, and it's just got such an awesome personality, and it's just really funny and cute to watch. Baneri would have made it a close second, and following that would probably be Mamoswine. Like, all of Dawn's Pokemon are just fantastic through and through. They're all a joy to watch. Alright, and next up, we have Iris. Oh my god. For Iris, I think I gotta go with Haxorus. Like, Axew was honestly really cute in Black and White, but then, eventually when she came back in Journeys, Axew finally evolves into Haxorus, and it was so cool to see it battle after so long, and it's a very fitting Pokemon to have for Iris as the Unova champion. She had one in Black 2 and White 2, so it made sense for her to have one finally in the anime. So which is just awesome. And it may have been unfortunate that Haxorus lost in that battle, but it's still a really awesome Pokemon for Iris. It's her ace, basically. It is her ace. And then following that, we have Silent. Oh boy. I don't have much memory of Silent because I haven't watched the black and white anime since I first watched it. So I need to check and see what Pokemon he even had. Yeah, Crustle, Stunfisk, and Pansage. That's all he had? Huh. Fascinating. I don't know who to pick here, honestly. Maybe Stunfisk? Because there was just something about Stunfisk that was just really funny in the anime to me. It's such a funny looking Pokemon to me as well. Like, I don't know. I think I gotta go with Stunfisk for Silent. Just based on from my foggy memories of Stunfisk, of the anime in general. I mean, it's that era. Alright, and following that, we have Serena. Oh. I think for Serena, I gotta go with either. It's a tie. It's a toss-up between Braixen and Sylveon. Oh my god. Because I actually really like Braixen. I do like Braixen more than Delphox, but Fennekin is obviously the superior of the three. I think we could all agree with that. But Braixen was a really fun Pokemon to watch after evolving. And the thing about Serena's Sylveon that stood out to me was what it actually evolved. That moment was really touching, honestly. And that part is kind of just burned into memory, and honestly, it's a good memory to have burned it in there because it was a good moment. Like, seeing the way Eevee evolved in that episode was just, it was heartwarming, and it was just very wholesome. But, you know, I can't really decide which one I like more because both of them are just so good. Both also had a really good personality, and same goes for Pancham. You cannot forget about Pancham. But all in all, yeah, I think if I think if I had to flip a coin, I would probably go with Braixen if I had to really choose one. All right, and then next up is Clement. The Clement was a really fun character to watch in X and Y, and so my pick for Clement, oh man, I think I gotta go with Luxray. Like, seeing Clement's backstory with Luxray really sold it for me. Chespin was a really funny Pokemon to watch, and the Bunnelby was really cool as well, but I think overall Luxray, it takes the cake for me. Looks like a natural on Clement's team. Hey, Callum.
Hello, sorry I'm so late.
No, it's okay. Yeah, it's just...
I'm assuming you've done most of the podcast by now.
Yeah, I'm talking about my favorite Pokemon of each main character of the anime.
Alright, neat.
And I'm already down to Clement.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, I'm going through this rather quickly. So, let's get you caught up then, because I gave my input on the stuff for BDSP from this past week and the pricing for NSO Plus expansion pack. But yeah, I kind of went off a little bit on the BDSP backlash regarding the EXP share and single-use TMs in particular. Like,
yeah,
like we could all agree that it sucks that single-use TMs are back, but what can we really do? Like, no amount of we all have our critiques about that, but no amount of complaining is gonna bring it back.
Like, all the complaining I'm gonna do is really ensure that it's never gonna come back in another game. Cause look at all the complaining about the national decks and Sword and Shield. Like, most of the Pokemon got brought into Sword and Shield via the expansion passes, and like, I'm still pretty sure that that Pokemon being brought back, or at least so many of them, was a direct response to that.
Maybe. But that's not a crazy analogy, though.
Yeah. So, like, with all that complaining, all it's going to do is just guarantee that single-use TM is never come back in another Pokemon game, which I don't think they were going to anyway. That was probably just a thing for BDSP, and that was it anyway.
like we've had infinite use TMs for about 10 years now. So it's kind of weird that they brought it back for a remake.
It's definitely weird, yeah.
Like Oris.
At the same time, it wasn't Game Freak making this game.
Yeah, it's Elka.
Yeah, like this is the first mainline Pokemon game that Game Freak hasn't made. So,
I mean, then again, Masuda is still I believe is one of the directors of this game. But that probably.
I assume he's also like heavily involved with Legend Arceus.
Yeah, that's true.
So he obviously had his time split, which means that he's not going to be making all the decisions on the on either game really, but mainly BDSP since that's probably one he's had less impact on, just because Legend Arceus is going to require a lot more focus.
Yeah, exactly. And I
would be willing to bet that he didn't even make that decision, because there was probably going to have to have been a lot of delegating going on just to get them both done.
Yeah, probably. Like I feel like this is one. And the single use TMs, it's whatever. But is it a deal breaker? Hell no. Like I'm sure there's gonna be ways to farm them, because I was able to farm TRs in Sword and Shield relatively easily. Like if they can put TM farming in the underground, then that just makes it a whole lot more enticing, and it already looks enticing enough.
Yeah. They straight up said there's going to be ways to get more TMs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, you're going to be able to buy TMs multiple times like you could in older games. You're going to be able to I assume you're going to be able to find TMs on the ground, and then later in the game you're going to be able to buy those same TMs.
Yeah.
I assume there's a lot of different ways to get new TMs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't like that the single-use TMs are back, but at the same time,
there's going to be easy ways to get a lot of them.
Yeah, no one complained about single-use TMs until
today.
This is kind of just the Pokemon fandom. Okay, how do I put this? Infinite use TMs are a luxury that people have gotten used to, and the moment they go back to the cheap stuff, even for a second, they complain.
Exactly, and they're kind of in the same boat with the EXP share being the same as Sword and Shield. I
think that's just going to be the norm for Pokemon games going forward, because that's been the norm for RPGs for
a while, even before Pokemon was even a thing.
Yeah, decade, since I don't know, all RPGs, or not all of them, of course, but most of them.
Yeah, exactly. I can't name any examples right now. Well, I could, but that's the point.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy.
They all have EXP systems that level up everyone at once.
Yeah, and a lot of those games you can't even turn the experience share off. So, but do you hear?
Yeah.
But do you hear people giving shit about that? No.
No.
This is just Pokemon. This is just Pokemon getting with the times.
Yeah. The thing is, people get the difference is with those games, people are used to that, but with Pokemon, it's new.
Yep.
So
I seen some people toss the idea, what about EV training? In my facepalm moment, you can act it has the antivirus storage system from Sword and Shield, so if it really bothers you, then you can just toss it into the PC. Like, it would be nice if we had the option to turn it off, like X and Y or Sun and Moon. But on the flip side, you don't have to fly out of a room to go to a Pokemon Center just to get something from the PC.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
And not to mention, if you're really that worried about EVs, then you're going to be playing Sword and Shield because that's where range battles are still going to be taking place.
Yeah, but not just that. Proteins, calciums, irons, all the vitamins.
Yep.
That's just easy EV training.
Exactly. Like, it's not worth getting up in arms about that. Like, if you consider that and single-use TMs deal breakers, then you're setting your expectations wrong. Like, if you could be complaining about that and single-use TMs from now all the way until the end of time, then don't buy the fucking game.
Yeah.
Like, no one's holding you down and forcing you to play this game. Like,
yep.
Like, if that part, if you're really not all that interested, then take your $60 and go find something that you might like more. It's not rocket science.
Yeah. Go, if you're really obsessed with hating on BDSP, just save your money for Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever.
Exactly. Like, it's just not worth getting so angry about it.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing with all games, and
no single game is perfect. Every single game is always going to have some kind of compromise.
Yeah, like
some being worse than others, of course.
Yeah, like that isn't just something for the game. It's for like media too. People get mad. For films, TV. It's all media. People get mad at all these small, insignificant things and act like they are the worst thing in the world.
Exactly.
When in reality, they don't matter.
Exactly. Like if the overall experience is already really positive, then like that should not, like, if it's unless it's like so bad it's distracting, then it shouldn't completely hinder your overall enjoyment of said product.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, I feel like we're getting way too invested into this tiny little thing about people getting so upset about, but like, yeah, I already gave my word, and
yeah, but like that's probably no quite interesting.
Whoa, you sound very robotic all of a sudden.
I love like Heart Gold. Oh, that's right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Alright. I've been playing Heart Gold recently. Obviously that has single-use TMs.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me.
Neither did I. Like the one thing about Heart Gold Silver that bothered me more was the level curve.
Yeah.
So that requires you to take some time, possibly even like at least an hour, to grind, and that I feel like hinders the experience. Single-use TMs does not, and not to mention the experience share effects of the whole party in BDSP helps get rid of basically any grinding that we would have to do otherwise. Because Diamond and Pearl had a bit of a level curve, especially at the end of the game.
Yeah, because it was like, oh look.
Level 67 Garchomp from Cynthia coming up. Better get ready for that.
Yeah, and like Vogner was like, what, late 40s, early 50s, and then Cynthia, who's only like 5 major trainers later, 4 of which are incredibly similar levels. Cynthia is like late 60s Garchomp.
Yeah, exactly. Like, granted that the levels did get nerfed in Platinum, but you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not thinking about, man, I wish I could turn the EXP share off when I'm playing the game. Like, I didn't think about that when I was playing Sword and Shield, and it's gotta be the same story with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Like,
yeah, the thing is, like if I don't want my Pokemon to get over leveled, I just chuck them in the box. Oh look, problem solved.
Exactly. Or better yet, choose different Pokemon to get that experience. Like, that in a way, that can kind of encourage you trying out more Pokemon to get those levels.
Yeah.
Which in turn helps you complete your Pokédex. especially
Which in turn helps you get shinies because there's no way that the shiny charm isn't in the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that these games are probably going to have the doubled odds that we got in X and Y.
Oh, no, definitely. That's just the new normal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, part of me is curious.
I think it's not even new anymore. That's just the normal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the shiny charm's been a thing since Black 2 and White 2, so...
Yeah.
Hey, that sounds good, though. Like, I do wonder what kind of shiny hunting method we're going to get in Brilliant Diamond, Shiny Pearl, if we're going to get any new method at all, because...
I assume there'll be something in the underground.
Probably. That does sound pretty fun.
Or we'll get a Pokémon back.
I feel like Poké Radar coming back is a given, considering that the original Diamond and Pearl had it.
Yes, which would mean that that method of shiny hunting is back.
Yeah, basically. I'm probably not going to do Poké Radar because I hated it in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
I never really I never really used it because it just confused me.
Yeah, it's a very difficult method to learn.
I think Deck Nav was kind of like Pokéradar but improved.
Oh, it was like an easy mode for Pokéradar. Like
which is really what Pokéradar should be in BDSP.
Honestly, I kind of agree with you. I low-key agree with you on that.
Honestly, the fact that they got rid of Deck Nav was dumb anyway.
Yeah.
Because Deck Nav was great.
It was really good. But then again, the Pokéradar is a much faster method of shiny hunting, and it's the one way you can guarantee a shiny target. So, like, do you want a faster but more difficult hunt, or do you want an easier method that will take harder, but will probably also make you phase? Choose your poison.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, even the highest DexNav odds is still not as high as Pokéradar's max odds.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it's a toss-up as to which one you personally prefer.
Yeah.
But anyway, I touched on Shiny Zacian and Shiny Zamazenta at GameStop. Thank God it's not a stupid method like in Japan or South Korea, which is good. Still, I don't think there's any word about a UK distribution yet, though. Which is kind of stupid. Because I think around the same time that we were getting Shiny Zacian and Shiny Zamazenta, in Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand are going to be getting it as well. Around the same time frame that we'll be getting it here. But still nothing for Europe yet, which is dumb. Alright, getting back on track here, with our favorite Pokemon from each main character of the anime, I already gave my picks. So, I had, Inferni for Ash, Psyduck for Misty, Croagunk for Brock, and, Blaziken for May. Oh, fuck, I forgot Tracy. I am stupid.
Nope, you're not.
Wow, Look at me forgetting Tracy. Oh, jeez. Alright, so anyway, what would your picks be?
Alright, probably, Infernape for Ash, yeah. Because it's either Infernape or Pikachu, because those are like the two best.
Yeah, I do agree. Like Charizard was a pretty good runner-up for me.
I love Charizard too, but Bulbasaur's probably my favourite of his Kanto team, so
that's fair.
But yeah, Infernape probably for Ash, Psyduck for Misty, Croagunk for Brock.
No surprise.
Let's see, what would it be for me?
We forgot Tracy.
Tracy is Scyther because he barely had it, because he only had Marrow, Scyther, and Venonat. So it's Scyther. By default.
I think I would have chosen Scyther as well.
I was going to say Lady can never can say wait no skitty. Now I'm saying wait no munchlax. Like Glaceon Doctor too, but mainly munchlax because munchlax is adorable.
That's valid.
Let's think. What else is it? Matt didn't have any, so we're on to
Dawn.
DP already. And then let's see, Dawn, Amihome.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I went with Piplup mainly because of my bias toward Piplup.
That's fair.
Then comes Iris, I think.
Iris. So let's think. She had.
There was let me just take a look at her.
Iris had.
Obviously, Haxorus, Excadrill.
Yeah, Iris has Haxorus,
Excadrill, Emolga, Dragonite, and Gibble.
Gibble. Now, I know nothing about her Gibble because I've not seen that special episode, so I cannot put that.
That's fair.
I would never really attach to her Excadrill or Dragonite like other people were. Actually, I think Emolga.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah,
Emolga seems to have the most personality of them all.
Oh, absolutely. Like, Emolga was adorable.
Yes.
I personally went with Haxorus.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I remember me actually being pretty cute in Black and White, and seeing it evolved into Haxorus and Journeys was really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Let's think.
Alright, next.
Silent
Was a tough one for me because I don't remember much of Silent's Pokemon, so I just went with Stunfisk.
Stunfisk?
But there was just something about Stunfisk that I just thought was really funny, and so I was like, I couldn't really care less about Pansage, honestly. Like, it is iconic for Silent. It is basically his partner, but yeah, I didn't really have that many fond memories of Pansage personally.
Yeah, no. Pansage wouldn't probably be mine. Let's think who would be mine. He had what? Pansage,
Crustle, and Stunfisk.
Stunfisk, was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Oh.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that he only caught 3 Pokemon when I checked his Bulbapedia page.
Let's think. I'm going with Crustle then.
Okay, that's fair. All right, then following that we have Serena, and I'm up with, it was a toss up between Braixen and Sylveon for me personally.
God, for a second, I thought you were talking about Serena the Pokemon.
Oh no, I wasn't.
So, but the even worse thing was because Mallow owned this arena, I didn't question it. No, but next is Serena. So, well, she only had 3. She had Braixen, Sylveon,
and Pancham.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
Like, Serena was another tough one for me.
I don't know, because as much as I love the Braixen and Sylveon as Pokemon, I never really had any attachment to Serena's. So, and like, even with Pancham, her Pancham was cute, but that was kind of, I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, this one was a tough one for me as well. I just basically did a coin flip and chose Braixen.
I think I'm gonna go with Pancham because Pancham again seems to have more personality than the other two.
That's fair. Following that we have Clement.
He has Bunnelby, Luxray.
Bunnelby.
They also has all the Pokemon in his gym, right? So, I forgot Chespin. They also had all the Pokemon in his gym, so that's Heliolisk, Magneton,
And
and
Magnemite.
then Magnemite. Do they count? Because they weren't really traveling Pokemon, but they definitely got a bit of spotlight.
That's debatable, honestly. I don't know, honestly. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I just went with what he actually carried, so I didn't really.
I'd
I
probably
didn't.
go with. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go with Runaway though.
That's perfectly fair. I went with Luxray.
Yeah.
Like Clement's backstory with Luxray and my personal bias toward Luxray kind of sells it for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I never really particularly cared about his backstory with his Luxray or anything like that. To me, the fact that they gave him a Luxray as his ace instead of like a Heliolisk was dumb anyway.
That's fair.
Like, oh look, Heliolisk. That's his ace in the games, and also it's like the premier Kalos electric type. But let's make his ace Luxray.
Basically,
Um,
if I can Luxray, you would be caught in X and Y.
no,
Oh Jesus Christ! That just
like
that kind of makes
like,
it worse then.
Like I remember looking at me ages ago. The Shinx line are not in the Kalos decks.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right,
yeah,
so all right, now we're all caught up. So let's move on to Lana next, who only had 2 Pokemon, and
I'm gonna go with Sandy here because well,
I mean, first of all, it's Eevee, and Eevee's fucking adorable.
yes, I'm going with Sandy because her Primarina didn't really have much of a personality. I'm not gonna lie.
Poor Primarina, it got done so dirty after it evolved. Which is so sad because as a Popplio, it was adorable.
Well, yeah, it was great. It was great as a Popplio.
And it makes me even more sad because Primarina is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, I love Primarina too. I'm using it in Incline Emeralds right now, and like hell, I'm even like using it as we speak.
Oh,
But
like, ah, jeez.
yeah, but I'm gonna say this. I really did not like what they did to it, or how they evolved Lana's Popplio, because it just had 2 very rough evolutions at the very end of Sun and Moon.
Yeah. My god, jeez. Man. But moving on from.
But anyway, so Sandy is definitely my favorite for Lana's Pokemon.
That's fair. Like, I think I still gotta go with Primarina though. Like, my bias toward it, like, I love Sandy, but yeah, I haven't seen many episodes that featured it. So
I mean that's because it was at the end, really.
yeah, it showed up a little too late for me to really remember it as much as Primarina.
Fair.
All right. Moving on from that, we have Mallow, who only has 1 Pokemon caught, but raised another one in the form of Shaman. But I think we gotta go with Serena by default because as cool as it was for Shaman to be by Lana's side, it didn't do shit.
Oh no, yeah, it's definitely Serena because Shaman was useless.
It didn't do jack shit. It's a shame because Shaman's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh look, Mallow had a Shaman, that's cool. Oh, it does anything, it does nothing, and then fucks off at the end.
She really should have caught that Shaman.
Yeah, but no, it had to go be with its Shaman friends in one photo and like one picture at the very end of the show and the credits.
Yep. And then moving on to Lily, she only had 1 Pokemon as well, and that is of course Snowy, which
I guess she had McGearn at the end, but that thing had no personality, and literally woke up at the very end. So
Gotta go Snowy by
Uh,
default then.
Yep.
I mean, it's fine by me because Snowy is perfection and needs to be protected at all costs.
Yes. Yes. So.
Alright.
So Kiawe, he has 3, right? He has Charizard, Turtonator, and Marowak.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Turtonator.
Yeah, I think I gotta go with Turtonator as well.
Yeah, I love his Turtonator. His Turtonator. It's just like the perfect balance to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he's like really fiery and passionate all the time, and Turtonator just has the chill dad energy the entire show.
Yeah. All right. And that brings us up to journeys then, I think.
Nope, Sophocles.
Wow, I can't believe I forgot Sophocles. I am so wow. I'm tired and a moron.
No, you're not a moron.
All right.
So
We got for Sophocles just Talking Tomorrow and Vikavolt.
Yep. Vikavolt got more development, but Togedemaru was so cute that I'm picking that or her.
Honestly, same.
Like Togedemaru did nothing in the entire show except be adorable.
Yep.
But she was so adorable that I'm picking her.
Yeah, it's kind of same. All right. Okay, is that all? Is that all the Lola?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. We're Lana, then Malo, then Kiawe, then Lily, then Lily. Her point is we have done all 5.
All right, cool. Now we can give.
Unless Gladion counts as a main character, could have basically won by the end of it.
I count Gladion as more of a rival to Ash as opposed to a full-on main character.
Yeah, same here, but he was kind of he had like the most main character-y rival that we have ever had, I guess.
Yeah, that is very true. So do we want to count Gladion or do we just want to move on?
I say we move on because he has more of a rival.
Yeah. So that brings us now finally brings us to journeys.
Yep.
Let's just get Chloe out of the way because she only has Eevee. But in all honesty, Eevee is just really adorable.
Although we can, although I'm going to say that we're allowed to count Yamper too.
Okay, yeah, that's.
I would still pick Eevee though.
Yeah, same. Because and then finally we have Go.
Now he has like 1 million Pokemon.
Yeah, he's caught a lot. But I think
I'm gonna go into Grookey though.
Grookey's adorable. I love Grookey.
Yeah. Grookey has to be Grookey because Grookey is one of the cutest things ever in the anime. So.
Okay, so basically he baby.
Yes, he baby.
For me, I think for me it's a toss up between Cinderace and Raichu.
Raichu, that's interesting because Raichu barely appeared.
But I just like. I've always enjoyed seeing Go's Raichu on screen whenever it get screen time. It's just adorable.
Oh no, same because she is adorable, yes, but like, Grookey's more adorable to me.
That's fair. But I think I gotta go with Cinderace because it's the one Pokemon I think of when I think of Go's main Pokemon.
And I think like Go's weird because his main Pokemon has changed twice now.
Yeah.
Like it was Cinderace, then it was Sobble, now it's Grookey.
Yep.
I don't see it changing from Grookey in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Grookey for. Honestly, I don't think Grookey is going to evolve. So.
I honestly don't want Grookey to evolve.
Like I love Thwackey and Rillaboom. I don't want Grookey to evolve because Grookey is so cute.
Yeah, it's pretty much got that comedic side that the cast kind of needed, even if it didn't.
Yeah.
And that's everything.
Yep.
Wow, we blew through that pretty quickly. And I think, well, is there anything else that we want to discuss for this week?
I don't think so, because I think I was saying earlier before it started, there was really nothing this week, so like...
Yeah, because yeah, this week was a little bit quiet outside of BDSP.
Yeah, because...
Like, there was also, I also did touch on the NSO expansion pack pricing. Again, it's too expensive for what it offers right now, but I can imagine the value changing in the future with more content. But as it stands, too expensive, and it's just not a good value right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully things will improve. But who knows? This is Nintendo we're talking about. They do anything but the expected.
Yeah, that's true.
But quite a productive episode for our 30th episode. But with that said, what do you think about tuning in? And until next time, through it all, or still family, or watch it family.